This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, now that we are live from somewhere in Michigan, um, again, I'm Doug Waters, and I got drafted to discuss reinventing yourself. I think the whole title is something about a virus that's been going on, but I'm not really excited about that part. Flu seasons come and go. This one has been a bad one, I hear. But I'm interested in just being able to reinvent yourself, period, at any time, whether that's now or 5 years from now. I have reinvented myself probably like 5 times. My story, if you could flip to the next slide, uh, is when I was 18 years old, I probably should have joined the military. My head wasn't screwed on right. I didn't have any discipline. But for some reason, I listened to my dad's advice. He just said, "Well, you should study engineering. They make a lot of money. It's a good, steady job. You should do that." And he said that because I have an uncle who's an engineer and he makes a lot of money, good, steady job. And my dad had always wanted to be an engineer. So I managed to get accepted to an engineering program. And when I was 18, I started taking these really hard math classes. I took like an engineering fundamentals 101 class. And I remember there were like 40 guys and one girl. Um, I'll just leave it at that. It was just this is a miserable experience for me because I learned quite quickly that I hate math. Uh, maybe I have some aptitude. I could like count on both of my hands, but I just, if you're not passionate about something, you're not going to succeed. So I washed out of that engineering program and I had such bad grades that the only place that would take me was my local community college. So I credit community college with rehabilitating myself, got my grades up, transferred to another 4-year school in my hometown, and I just looked at a course catalog and I saw journalism, and I thought, okay, I've always liked to write. It's tolerable. I can do this. I didn't do any research on the profession as to how much money you can make, what kind of careers are available. I just thought, okay, well, if I can make like 30,000 a year and have I don't know, a car and my own apartment, I'll be set for life. That was my goal in my 20s, early 20s. And so actually, I became a newspaper reporter for a few years, copy editor. I laid out newspapers at one paper. I was a reporter at another. I enjoyed it. But it was really like taxing work. You're just totally underpaid, and every story you write, you could put a lot of heart and soul and research into a story, and then your editor is just kind of like, "What have you done for me lately?" Like every day, you're expected to produce another story, another byline, and it just kind of wears you out. You're working 50, 60-hour weeks, not making really enough money to barely even support yourself. So in my later 20s, I just felt this pressure, like this is a sinking ship. There's layoffs. No one reads newspapers anymore except for elderly people. I won't go into that, but yeah, there's just no future in this profession. And so I thought, what should I do? Maybe I'll go back to school, but should I get a master's degree in communication? That's kind of redundant. And I just got the idea, how about I think about law school? You know, a law degree is very portable. I don't have to be a lawyer. I could do other things. Like here I am right now teaching. I'm not actively practicing law right now. So I got the idea. I will take the LSAT, which is the equivalent for law schools for the SAT. But I was busy working, and so I just thought, if I just get a decent score and a law school, an accredited law school somewhere accepts me, that's where I'll go. That'll be my sign. And so I took the LSAT kind of cold turkey, didn't get the highest score in the world, but I did find a law school to accept me. So I went to law school. It was hard. It accelerated all my hair loss. My hair was already thinning thanks to genetics and thanks to working in a newsroom, but it just totally, my hair just disappeared in law school. It was just really Just a lot of information to process, very stressful, kind of intimidating professors. Um, and then okay, I've arrived. I'm a lawyer now. I somehow miraculously passed the bar exam for Tennessee. And I thought, okay, I'm going to make $1 billion, be set for life, have this financial security. And by that time, I was married. And I thought, okay, yeah, we're just going to live happily ever after. But I came to this new career in a really bad recession. This was around 2011, and I I worked my tail off doing all this networking, meeting with lawyers. I thought I could work for a small law firm. The best I could do was do contract work for other lawyers. I gained a lot of experience. But at one point, this one of the lawyers I worked with, he did employment law. He said, Doug, um, the law practice is like a widget factory. If one thing is not working for you, try another. There's like 30 different products you could put out there. You could do employment law, you could do family law, whatever. But just find your niche. You don't need to work for me. Just hang up your own shingle. So that's what I did, and I found my niche. It was like business and estate planning, and I did that for a few years. But estate planning, I never even really was passionate about it. I'm writing wills for people. I'm representing people in probate courts. Got into some family feuds, people fighting over their mom's estate, and that's very draining. I was not passionate about it. Like, these weren't even my problems. These were other people's problems. Uh, I can only maybe get passionate about my own problems when I get myself in a bind. But then I got a bunch of people leaning on me at one time to solve their problems. So, I wasn't passionate about it. I did a lot of networking to expand my business. To this day, I'm proud of the fact that I still get calls on my cell phone from Tennessee area code, people who have heard of me and want me to write a will for them or do something for them. And unless they leave a message, I don't return their call. But I'm happy to say, hey, I don't actively practice law in Tennessee anymore, so go away. But all that networking I did, it did pay off. But at some point, my wife was teaching, and she said, hey, you ought to go to the community college, where she worked. And she said, they got a new dean of business there. Maybe you could teach like some law courses, like paralegal studies courses. So lo and behold, I managed to talk my way into teaching a business law course at night. And then I was like, wow, this is really fun. Interacting with students. Students were totally not intimidating compared to legal clients, because I would get calls from legal clients and they expect me, when I talk to them on the phone, to have an answer for them right away. So I would start screening my calls with legal clients. Like, I want them to tell me what exactly they want me to solve for them, and so I can research it before I talk to them, so I can sound like I know what I'm doing. Half the time I don't know what I'm doing. Um, but students, totally different experience. I feel like I'm making a difference. So I started to think, well, what about if I could transition to a whole new career in teaching? And I just started meeting. I put myself out there. I just meet. I went to other colleges in my area. At one point, I was teaching at 3 different community colleges, night classes, online courses simultaneously. I just started branching out, and one thing led to another. And then my wife said, my parents live in Michigan, and we have small kids now. What do you think about targeting some jobs in Michigan where we could have some free babysitting help? And so lo and behold, here I am, got a job in Ann Arbor, got the quote unquote free babysitting help, but it does have a price attached to it, having in-laws near me. But I have reinvented myself so many times. Hopefully this is my last stop. I I throw out on this slide amateur career coaching advice. Uh, the thing that really helped me during my last career transition is I found this guy. He was a career coach, and I bartered with him. He needed a will. Um, and so I said, okay, I'll write your will for you. And he gave me like 4 career coaching sessions. He helped me polish my resume. He helped me with interviewing skills. He helped me just be more aggressive in putting myself out there. So he's really, really great guy. Just if you have a chance to work with a career coach, Find one, that you click with. This guy was good. He used to be a salesman. So he kind of filled me in because I was not naturally good at putting myself out there, but he just gave me a lot of good ideas. So if you want to write down my email address, I'll be happy to at least be a sounding board for you if you're thinking of transition to something totally different. So that's my story. Next slide uh, would be, so if you're in business, just always just be working on your soft skills. Be a reader. I've put some books up that I like. One is called A Talk Like Ted. This is the author Carmine Gallo. He researched all these popular TED Talks and came up with like what were the winning ingredients for these famous speeches, and he just came out with like, here's what every public presentation needs to be memorable. That was his big thing. You got to make it memorable with storytelling. So you can really set yourself apart in the business world if you could just express yourself well. Because there's a lot of introverts in this world. You could be a good speaker if you're an introvert, by the way. But if you could just be someone who's confident in front of other people, you will stand out in the business world. It's not too hard to stand out. This book in the middle, No Fail Communication, I'm reading it right now. I teach business communication here, and it just has a lot of good ideas for resolving workplace conflicts. So you're gonna have workplace conflicts, it's inevitable. So learn some strategies to navigate the office politics. And then finally, this book I put up here, Getting to Yes. It's about negotiating in a win-win style. So there's not a winner loser. Both sides want to walk away feeling like they've gotten a good deal for themselves. And so negotiation skills, very underrated. Not just you're negotiating on behalf of your company um, with representatives from another company, but you often have to negotiate for yourself, negotiate a pay raise for yourself, negotiate a seat for yourself on an important committee at work, negotiate more influence for yourself. So just read books, these popular business books like these, take notes, they will help you. Next slide.
Before that, Anthony
Yeah,
had a question. He asked, how often do you get a chance to read books you like? Do you block off time?
that's a good question. Not enough, but at night when my kids go to bed, they go to bed at 9 usually. Um, so sometimes I just read and it kind of puts me to sleep, but sometimes I'll get 20, 30 minutes in. It's just kind of what I do to unwind. So yeah, you do have to. Another thing people do sometimes is when you wake up in the morning, your brain, once you drink a cup of coffee, I'm on my third cup today. Your brain is the most awake, and I guess your IQ is at its peak for the day in the morning. So do your hard work in the morning, do some reading in the morning. You'll retain more that way. So this slide up here, in the Intro to Business class at WCC, we have a career exploration report, and it's kind of loosely based on this book by the co-founder of LinkedIn. His name's Reid Hoffman, called The Startup of You. So the premise is that it used to be that people would seek to find a job, say Ford or GM, and they work there for 30 years, and that's their career, and they climb the corporate ladder. Okay, and you get your job security from being a Ford man or woman, and you just kind of gradually move up the ranks. Um, that's awesome. I wish that still existed, but not so much anymore. So what we have now is not a corporate ladder, but more like a jungle gym. The average person changes careers, changes jobs so many times. I don't know what is the right statistic on that. So your job security now does not come from your employer. It comes from your network that you create. So it's more of a horizontal job security than a vertical job security with an employer. So your goal now is to make yourself so invaluable that companies want to come to you. So you think of yourself as a free agent. Now you hopefully you'll be blessed to camp out at one organization for a long time and kind of set up roots. But don't, even when you've got a comfortable job that you like and has good opportunities for professional development, just always be thinking ahead, like what if I get laid off, or can I build another income stream on the sides? I'm glad Anthony's here. He's the leader of the entrepreneurship program. Um, this book is all about just building an entrepreneurial mindset. So I'll just unpack a few, because this is a kind of a key to reinventing yourself. In the next slide, just a few concepts. It's not time to read this book. I'll just kind of spoon feed a little bit of it to you here. So the problem is what I said, you can't rely on an employer for job security. So you need to think of yourself as a startup company. So you're always analyze, like, let's just, my career coach, he said, say you have a business idea, but you don't have the money to support yourself right away based on that business idea. What's the best thing you can do? Do you just work at Starbucks to support yourself and then work on your business idea on the side? So no, find a company or organization that kind of does, it's in the same sector as your business idea. Learn as much as you can, while you're supporting yourself. So that'd be kind of an idea from this book as well. Seek, even if your long-term goal doesn't jive with what you're doing now, put yourself in places where you can learn from people and get some skills. If your business idea involves selling Beanie Babies through Amazon, well, you're going to need, I don't know, some web development skills. So put yourself in an employment situation where you can learn some web development skills, even if you're not selling Beanie Babies right then. Find an underserved niche in a market, something that not a whole lot of people are doing. I would say in the business world, accounting is always gold, in math skills, statistical analysis. In this age of artificial learning, you want to be the programmer. Otherwise, I guess you'll get replaced by a robot. Adopt a permanent beta mindset. That just means you're always going to be learning. You're always becoming Anthony 2.0, Anthony 3.0. You're just reinventing yourself every year. You're learning new skills. Think about an entrepreneurship skill set, transferable skills to every job. So learn a foreign language. You're young enough. Your brain is still it doesn't have enough cobwebs yet if you're in your 20s or 30s. So start learning a foreign language, learn Spanish, something that's spoken in the business world. Learn Chinese. I mean, they're going to be our bosses soon. Learn Chinese, learn Spanish, learn how to program. That's a transferable skill. For me, my transferable skills from my earlier career choices, writing and researching, I still write and research, and I picked those up from being a journalist. Spend time analyzing customers. So if you work at Starbucks, the skills that you learn interacting with customers are transferable to other business ventures. How do you make them happy? Join and start at WCC. You have the opportunity to just start your own student club, and you can put that on your resume. You were the leader of Club X, and it might just be 2 or 3 other students who hang out with you in that club, but it looks impressive on a resume. You're a thought leader, so do that. If you want to transition to a new career, where are you going to meet these people? Think about that. So for me, when I was transitioning to law practice and I wanted some lawyers to hire me, I would start attending these professional, like, continuing legal education seminars, where these lawyers, they have to get like 15 hours a year of continuing education. So that's where all the lawyers were in one place. So I would show up with my resume in hand, and I just had my goal. I'm going to meet 3 new lawyers today. I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm just going to make some connections here. And then maybe I could do coffee with them later if we have a good connection. and I'm going to pick their brain later, but just go where your people that you want to meet are. So if you want to be an accountant, where do all the accountants hang out? Do they have a local Ann Arbor group? If you want to work in human resources, there's a Society of Human Resources Management local group for Ann Arbor called SHRM. And you can attend as a student for a discount. They have like a once a month meeting, but it puts you in a room with like 50 HR professionals, and you have a chance to introduce yourself to them. And I think if you want to go into HR, that's a great place to start, and you can meet HR professionals, and maybe you get an internship that way, or maybe they hire you as a generalist at a company. So just be be just open-minded. Find out where the people in this field work. Um, Next slide. I'm going to say be aggressive in reinventing yourself. So even if you are like an introvert, you got to put yourself outside your comfort zone. So in this next slide called Explore Your Possibilities, I have some ideas here. One is with LinkedIn. Is if you're on LinkedIn, it's a good place to be. If you're not, create a profile. Make sure to get a professional photo of yourself, because even if you're not like the best looking person in the world, if you got a bald head, people do like to see a smiling face. Just it's inviting. Once you're on LinkedIn and you have your profile set up, there's something called the insider outsider method that my career coach taught me. So let's just say you want to work in supply chain. What you can do, LinkedIn has this wonderful thing you can do where you find a certain company and you can find all the people who are connected to that company. So you want to work in supply chain in the Ann Arbor area, well, find some companies that do like logistics in Ann Arbor and target them and you'll find out, hey, there's 30 people who work for this company on LinkedIn, and you can send them little messages, and you just take a very humble approach. You just say, hi there, I'm Doug, and I'm a student. I'm working on my supply chain certificate or degree at WCC, and I notice you work for company X, and I've done my research. I really think you're doing some neat things there, such as blah, blah, blah. Uh, could I just grab 15 minutes of your time? Can I bring you coffee to your office one day? Or I just want to pick your brain, find out, do you like your job and how did you get there? And most people are happy to talk about themselves. We're all our own favorite topic. I'm kind of talking to myself right now, and I can go on and on. So most people will be flattered by that request to do an informational interview. So go on LinkedIn and target a few companies within that career that you're seeking to establish yourself in. I had a student a couple semesters ago. He did the career exploration project. He's a little bit older student, and he thought for a while that he wanted to be an accountant. So he's taking some accounting classes, but he was in Intro to Business. He did the career exploration assignment, and he contacted, I think, Emily, our faculty secretary, and he had like a crisis. He described it as, and he had to meet with me right away. And so when I met with him, he was like, my crisis is I did an informational interview through this career exploration report. I interviewed an accountant, and the accountant was really nice, and he was really into his job. But I discovered through interviewing this accountant that I do not want to be an accountant. It's too much math for me. Or he did all his number crunching on weekends. It was like his whole life. He's like, that's not what I see myself as, doing all this data analysis on weekends. He just had this crisis because for the past, I don't know however many years, he just thought he was gonna reinvent himself as an accountant. But he had a job at Ford. I think he did, like, he was on a loading dock or something. And we talked about, well, what other things can you explore? And we thought together, whole supply chain. He already works in the supply chain now. He's kind of at the ground level, but hey, you could be a manager, work your way up. So he's exploring supply chain now with the goal of maybe becoming a manager at Ford. Um, and the supply chain certificate would help him with that. Um, so just be very aggressive. Um, One advantage of informational interviews is it only costs maybe your time and buying someone else coffee or lunch. So you're not taking now. Community college is very inexpensive compared to taking a bunch of classes at a four-year school. So this is kind of like a playground in a business department or the business transfer degree. You have several electives to play with. We say do not take welding or basket weaving as your free electives. Use your electives to take some business classes, take a marketing class, take some classes that aren't required but maybe are interesting to you. So use those electives wisely to explore and just do a ton of informational interviews. So this is where I will try to, well, does anyone have questions?
I have a question for you, Doug. Uh,
Sure.
Now we are in the world of social distancing and everything that we're going through now. How do you network in today's environment?
Yeah, I would say use LinkedIn because that's where a lot of business professionals hang out. And just the fact that you can tune in to this go-to meeting, set up go-to meetings, set up Zoom meetings with people. Stores and retail shops are opening up. You should be able to like go into Starbucks one of these days and grab coffee with someone. So hopefully this will pass. But tap into your Zooming and your go-to meeting skills. And it's even less. I think it's even less intimidating or daunting now just to do a video conference with somebody. Most people will say, "Yeah, I'll give you 10 minutes via video conference." One thing about the insider outsider method that I didn't touch on is you've targeted like 3 companies in the area that you want to work for. Well, find a few people to do these informational meetings with who work for this company. That way, if a job opportunity comes available, these people kind of remember you and know you're an eager beaver, and they might give you a heads up. Hey, HR is posting this job soon, but I wanted to tell you about it. And you can say, oh, yeah, it looks right up my alley. Can you do me a favor and walk my resume over to the head of HR just to make sure it actually gets read and doesn't go into a wastebasket somewhere? And that's the advantage of the insider outsider method and just building your network. So you have a few eyes and ears within these companies that you might want to work for. So it's a good question.
All right,
Any other
like,
questions?
yes, Anthony Terry has a question.
Yeah, Doug, I was just curious. We got a lot of people on the call. I was wondering, does anybody else have any suggestions or some things that they're using right now in terms of networking? They could put it in the chat to share with others so we can experience some of these new things that are out there. I know we got LinkedIn, and that's for the old people like me and you, Doug, or whatever. But the younger kids
Mm-hmm.
that are on the call, whatever, can you got any suggestions of what's new and improved out there that we can use in terms of networking or things that you're utilizing right now? You can put it in the chat and let us know. Any social media.
Social media, Facebook, Instagram, let's see, listservs. Oh yeah, that world, listservs are so important. It looks like that's what we got there.
Oh, another idea is Toastmasters. Toastmasters is like an international organization, and it's all about public speaking practice. Even if you don't see yourself being a public speaker in your field, Ann Arbor has in Michigan, there's several Toastmasters groups. And what you do is you get together with a group of professionals and you just kind of you give little speeches and you critique each other's speeches, but it's a networking group. You're meeting other business professionals that way. So once COVID passes and we can be safely in a room with other people, uh, check out Toastmasters. That might be a good way to meet some people.
All right, I currently do not have any other questions.
Okay, well, I'll try to share my screen again then. So let's see. Okay, can everyone see this screen, networking success? Okay, this is something I put together for one of my business classes. It was mainly drawing from my experience building my law practice, but so I titled that talk Orchestrating Referrals, but I've just kind of redubbed it Networking Success because the same principles apply. So this is how you get outside of your living room and you actually meet people in a business world and you expand your network and you're being aggressive in kind of promoting yourself and picking other people's brains about opportunities out there to reinvent yourself. So let's see. The first step is, can everyone see this? Okay, good. I see it on my screen, so you could see it, I hope. So lay off your computer. You know, you want to send some emails to people. Um, I said in here, don't attend networking events. Ignore that advice for now. I was just trying to be funny. That was more for like referrals, but go to some networking events like the Toastmasters or local professionals group. It's kind of overwhelming to be in a room of like 20, 30 new people you've never met before, and particularly if you don't have a friend with you. So my goal when I went to these meetings was I'm gonna bring my business cards and I'm just gonna try to meet 3 new people. And then sometimes when I met 3 new people, it becomes 4 or 5 new people. I get my feet wet a little bit. I get my confidence. But I'm just striking up conversations with 3 new people. And I'm targeting people who hopefully do something that's interesting to me and it's not just a one-way street. You're trying to bring value to them. So what you want to do if I'll just use let's say you want to become an accountant. Um, go to a networking group where you'll find accountants. Build a list on the internet of accountants in your area, and then email them. So your goal, I said here, is inch wide, mile deep. So eventually, as you meet more and more people, you can narrow it down the type of people who can help you. You start out, say, I want to be an accountant. But then over time, you're like, I want to be an auditor. I don't want to just be an accountant. I want to be an auditor. I don't want to do people's taxes. I just want to be an auditor. So at that point, you're trying to meet people who work as auditors. So, and you're just meeting as many of them as you can. It's building your pipeline for future jobs, and you're asking them all kinds of questions like, what's the most boring part of your job? What's the most biggest challenge for you? What do you like most about your job? And they're getting to know you, and maybe when an opportunity comes around for a new job in their office, so they'll come to you. So you build your list, and you're having all these dates with people, not romantic dates, but you want to research your coffee partner. Your goal, you want to have like an elevator pitch for yourself. Hey, I'm Doug. I'm a student at WCC. I've taken these classes and I've had these kind of jobs, and here's why I like to be an auditor. But then you just have a ton of questions for when the conversation, there's these awkward silences. Well, you kind of have a list of questions to keep it going. You want them talking about themselves, 90% of the time, because when people are doing the talking, they remember you more actually because you made them feel good about themselves. That's the psychology of it, and you're learning. So you're writing down the whole time. Take notes. Bring a notepad. Don't just sit there and passively listen. It makes you're learning stuff, and it makes them feel like their time is valuable when you're writing stuff down that they're saying. So there's that. And the next step is, so this is to find people. I used a very like formal process where I would send people a actual printed letter, and I would say, hey, I'm new to your area and you caught my attention. And on Monday, I'm going to call you just to set up a quick time. Hopefully we can get together and maybe I can learn about you and you can learn about me. We can collaborate. This was for building my business. We can collaborate. And then I would actually call them when I said I was going to call them. And I'd always say, I'm going to be brief. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I tried to honor that. And so that was just my way. It was kind of unpleasant to cold call people, so I wanted to send them a letter first, let them know that I was going to call. And a lot of times when I called them, they would say, "Oh yeah, I got your letter last week. I was expecting your call," and that just kind of opened things up. So kind of have a system, have even like a notepad. When are you going to, every day, kind of do the hard stuff first. Make a few phone calls or send some email introductions. Just make it part of your schedule while you're reinventing yourself, trying to transition to a new career. I've got to be meeting new people every week. Maybe you only have time to meet one new person a week, but have a plan for how you're going to be constantly meeting new people. And every new person you meet, even if the conversation wasn't great and it wasn't a great connection, just close it with, I've enjoyed, getting to know you and learning about what you do. Is there anyone else, in your circle that you would recommend that I meet with? And maybe could you give me an introduction to that person? And then it's kind of like your network expands that way. And it's powerful for someone else to give you an introduction when they CC you on an email and say, "Hey, I met with this guy Anthony, and he wants to be uh, whatever, and I know that you do whatever, and you know, meet each other." So let's see the next step here. Um, oh, for the meeting itself, I say again, let them do all the talking. If you're eating, kind of like business etiquette, don't go to any restaurant that you haven't been to before. Look at the menu ahead of time and pick something that doesn't involve a lot of getting stuff in your teeth or slurping. Because you're not really there to eat. So just quickly order whatever it is. But keep your answers about your every time they ask you about yourself on that first date, kind of deflect it back to them. You're there to learn as much as you can. It's an informational interview. This, some of these meetings will just be one-off meetings and you'll never see the person again. So you're not really there to impress them. Now, if you do have natural synergy and it'll become like a mentoring relationship later, well, you're gonna have other meetings with them and they can learn more about you then. But just learn what you can in that meeting. Dress for success. I made the mistake one time when I was a lawyer. I did estate planning, and I would network with a lot of financial planners, and they had a lot of clients who had some money, and it was natural for them to refer clients to me. They could say, "Hey, have you got an estate plan yet?" Well, one guy I met with, I was just very casual, and he had a really nice office downtown Nashville, and I just came in like this polo shirt and blue jeans. And I could just tell he was all dressed up, suit tie. He just kind of eyed me over, I think, and was like, "This guy's not taking me seriously." So I should have put on my monkey suit too, my tie, and even though it takes longer to put on the tie and slacks, I should have done that. Our meeting didn't go that well. So always just overdress, even if you feel awkward about it, and they come up in overalls or something. Always dress like the person you want to be, I guess. Um, and always send them a thank you note at the end. That goes a long way. A handwritten thank you note, not just an email, but a handwritten thank you note. That really stands out these days because people don't even know how to write cursive anymore. So if you could at least sign your name in cursive, that'll stand out. Then during that relationship, when you're listening, when you're nodding and chewing with your ears, here are my ears. Be thinking about how you can return value for them. Maybe you already work in the field of business and you can't really refer them any customers, but maybe you see some articles that might interest them and you forward them a news article. That's just a quick way of just staying in touch with them, staying in front of them, and put in your notepad your plan for networking. Hey, this person I want to meet again. So in 2 months, I'm going to think of a way to just reconnect with them casually. Hey, I saw this article about X and it made me think of you. What do you think about it? Just a quick way so they don't forget about you. And then if there's something you can do for them, I don't know, you work at Starbucks and maybe you can get them a discount on some coffee. Just anything and everything, offer it to them, okay? So that's my little spiel on networking. But you're just constantly, when you're reinventing yourself, putting yourself out there, being aggressive, following up with people, trying to meet new people in the fields you want to work in every week, because you got to be moving. If you're just sitting on your couch and looking at Indeed.com, you're not. That's not the best way to find a new job or to reinvent yourself. So I've talked way too much. I need some more questions. I demand them.
I have another question for you. How much time would you say that, someone who is looking to reinvent themselves or start their own business should be putting into networking, say, on a weekly basis?
Um, it depends on how much time, like how many classes are you taking if you're a student here. Um, you've just got to, like I said, the morning is probably the best time. Um, so if you can plan an hour or two a week where you could actually be meeting people through video conference or through coffee. Plan those times into your schedule. Even if you don't have someone targeted, just leave it wide open. And if you don't happen to schedule a meeting, use that time to line up other meetings. Just make it part of your regular schedule. It's kind of like when you're out of work, which I've been. It's not a fun place to be. Someone told me, make finding a job your full-time job. So do something every day toward networking and reinventing yourself. Is anyone watching right now? I shouldn't say watching, but participating. Is anyone trying to actively reinvent themselves? You can unmute yourself, raise your hand, throw a chat in.
Yeah, I feel like I am in the process of trying to reinvent myself. But I do have a question about networking. I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around the whole concept of networking because when I think about it, and it could just be something particular to me, is it's kind of like I am, I guess overall, it's something that I feel very uncomfortable doing. And I'm an admittedly introvert,
Join the
and
club.
it's uncomfortable because I don't really know how to approach. Meaning, like, I know the hi, how are you doing, and my name is Mary, et cetera, et cetera. But where do you go from there with that whole networking thing without feeling awkward?
Yeah, you got to take baby steps. Um, you sometimes bringing a buddy with you. What kind of career do you want to get into?
So, yeah, so my strengths are writing and research. I have worked in grant writing for a while. Um, well, I have worked in grant writing. I have did volunteer work, and then I had a position that required me to do grant writing, and then from there I ended up getting into research, and it was more around workforce development, economic development, etc. In terms of reinventing myself, I would ideally like to go into business for myself, but I feel like I have pieces of the puzzle, but not a whole piece. Like I don't have the whole um, it feels like there's components that are missing. I don't feel like it's enough to.
What kind of business?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say grant writing is a very underserved niche, so that's a very valuable skill that you're bringing to the table. Definitely contact me offline. I might have a job, not a paying job, but I just want to pick your brain about something related to grant writing. But have you been to the Entrepreneurship Center at WCC?
I know them, yes. I
Okay,
know
well
what.
that's a good first start. They can give you some coaching. Um, I think you've got to like have an idea what kind of business you want to start. Brainstorm that. Go to the Bahamas with a notepad and just brainstorm what do you want to do. Because once you get those ideas flowing, then you'll know what direction to take and who you want to meet with networking. I kind of made that joke. Don't attend not working meetings because eventually you are wanting to contact specific people that can help you get from point A to point B. If you just go to a general meeting, there's not a whole lot of people that meet that criteria. So let's just say you want to start your own. I don't know, Anthony, give me a business idea.
I could go with restaurants. You can go with any type of service.
Okay, we'll say a food truck. Anthony knows a
There you
little
go.
bit about food trucks.
Yeah, food truck.
Oh,
So
we want an ice cream stand. Come on now.
yeah, ice cream. Yeah, yeah. So let's just say you want to start your own ice cream stand. Well, find people who have their own food trucks, who have what I learned in being a lawyer was like I wanted to learn about how to be a good estate planning lawyer. If I contacted another estate planning lawyer in Nashville, they would tend to ignore me. They would think I'm the competition. But if I went maybe to contacted some people a little bit even outside my state, they would just be an open book. Like I remember one time I was visiting my parents in Florida and I contacted some estate planning lawyers in Florida and I met with this guy over a pancake breakfast and he had been doing estate planning for 30 years and he just spilled his guts, told me his whole business model. I learned so much because he didn't view me as competition. So pick an ice cream stand operator, maybe who's not going to be operating in the same area that you are, and they will spill their guts and they can give you a lot of shortcuts for how they get clients, their keys to success. So you got to find those people who can spill their guts and be an open book to you.
Also, it looks like Ron is reinventing himself. After 25 years in fire service, he's transitioned into management in the facilities management field. And now at WCC, he's going to be transferring to EMU with a BBA. And he would love to get into teaching. He was an instructor in the fire service and loved teaching.
Okay, what kind of teacher, Ron?
That is
Like
awesome.
what grade level?
Well, I've been in management now for 9 years with my current company. So
Hmm.
now that I'm in the business at WCC and soon into EMU, I wouldn't mind sharing my experiences in the business department.
Okay, well, I'm glad your car is not moving.
I've been sitting the whole time.
Yeah, that's funny. Um,
Lunch
yeah,
hour.
to get into teaching, what I learned is degrees make a difference. Um, so just for accreditation, there's a lot of very experienced business professionals like yourself, um, who may know a ton more about a certain subject than say a college instructor does, but they don't have the right degree for the accreditation. Every school has accreditation. So it's like we simply can't hire you. So it's like you got to get the degree. And if you want to teach in business, you got to have a master's in business. And getting an MBA helps you, but then it's also like if you want to teach project management, well, maybe you also should think about getting a certificate in project management. uh, if you want to teach marketing, uh, you got to pair it with experience in the field as well. And,
Right.
think about professional certifications. And there's teaching jobs are like full-time teaching jobs are, as Anthony can attest, because he was part-time instructor for like a decade, right? Um, when these full-time teaching jobs open up, 100 people apply. And so you've got to you can't just say, well, I'm just going to teach at one place and eventually someone's going to retire and I'm just going to slide into their spot. That's what I try to do myself. I kind of learned the hard way. I was teaching at some community colleges in Tennessee, and I thought, well, these people like me here, and eventually someone's going to die, and I'm going to take their place. Never happened. And it wasn't until I expanded my horizons, started applying for jobs out of state, and I had teaching experience under my belt at some other colleges. So just cast a wide net. Don't get your heart set on teaching in any one place. Your opportunity or your ship will come in when it comes in, but just focus on making yourself competitive, building your resume. Teaching is this thing, like a lot of people just think, well, I've been in business or I've done X for all these years. I'll be a natural teacher. I'll be the sage on the stage and students will like me. And that may be the case, but there's all kinds of other people thinking that same way. So there's a lot of competition, a lot of people who want to do what you're doing. So you got to kind of make yourself stand out a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to be mindful of the time here for you guys. So we do have a quick finishing presentation by our recruitment and enrollment services specialist, Kim Dosey. If she's ready to take on, I can go ahead and get that started for her. Kim?
I'm here and I'm ready. Love to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Yep.
Great. So I know in our audience, we may have maybe just one person that might be considering WCC. So I think the slides, do we have the slide up, Lauren? I just wanted to do a quick go through. It's very simple to become a student. Oh, are we introducing me or are we? Okay, I'll back it up. Just being time sensitive, because I know it's 1 o'clock. I've been with Washtenaw, lived in Washtenaw County my entire life, and just Washtenaw is a gem in our community. So if you have people, if you know folks that might be considering WCC, you like the information today, definitely feel free to circle back around, let them know that it's free to apply. I'm happy and excited to get people, guide them to where they need to be at Washtenaw. And then in our audience, if there is a particular person that might want to take that next step, you know, we're going to go over this today. So let me just overview some fast facts about Washtenaw. We have one main campus in Ann Arbor on Huron River Drive, but we also have extension sites with limited offerings up in Brighton. Can we back it up real quick to the previous slide?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Just knowing, like, obviously during the pandemic, things are a little bit different, but even prior to that, I think we transitioned nicely because we're flexible. We've offered online classes, you know, days, nights, weekends, evenings. We're going to continue to be this way. You know, classes are on demand, they're virtual. So, you know, you can have blended in, you know, some in person, some on campus. So when you're looking to register for a class, it indicates if it's an in-person, if it's an online or a virtual class. I'll just give 2 quick points. Like the virtual is set times, which I think is a really nice option for students that really feel like they can't do the online and they want that accountability to be in a classroom at a certain time with other people. But then the online option, I currently have 2 students at home that are in high school that are doing some of the online with Washtenaw, dual enrolling, and they decided to go with the online option so that if they, you know, want to be able to go and, you know, as we're opening things up, gather with friends or, you know, do a sports practice, they could do their school work at 2 in the morning. So love that about Washtenaw. Average class size 18 to 22, that's phenomenal because anytime your student to teacher ratio is smaller, you know, like it's to your advantage. And as you can see today, we've had, you know, our faculty involved. They're very personable. That's definitely something about Washtenaw and the community college. We get to know you by name. You're not just a number. Also know we have the highest accreditations and our college classes transfer. So we have so many transfer options. And our environment at Washtenaw, we're in a diverse environment. We have over 20,000 students enrolling classes at WCC each year. That's amazing because we count everyone from one person that's taking an online all the way from, certificate seeking to degree seeking to transfer. All those people are counted in that number. So folks in Washtenaw County and surrounding counties are utilizing Washtenaw to get to their end goal. Okay, next slide. And so we just real quick put this out there for you. Just the breakdown of tuition, of course, still in Washtenaw County for in-person classes, we're under $100 a credit hour. So, the value is amazing. The taxpayers of Washtenaw County have supported in past millage. So basically out-of-pocket expense from the student is so much less. And when it's a transferable class over to university, you really have to think of, the amount that you're saving. If Eastern, for example, takes that same class, you're saving, at the end, if you're going for a degree, tens of thousands of dollars. Real quick too, just we have on this slide, we offer, as we mentioned today, especially in this division, certificates, stackable credentials. So in as little as 9 to 36 credit hours, you can earn a certificate that sets you apart. And as Doug said, in many cases, degrees, certifications, they're going to set you apart. So I love that about Washtenaw, is that you can, continue to evolve and to, just freshen up, reinvent yourself. So certificates, advanced certificates, associate degrees, post-associate degrees are available. And the highest degree that we issue is a 2-year associate degree. But again, always keep in mind, we have better values articulation agreements with 4-year institutions. So more than just taking gen eds, you can take, go for business and transfer in with many institutions between Washtenaw and a 4-year institution, 3 and 1. 3 years at Washtenaw, 1 year at that 4-year institution, and you have a 4-year degree. It's a huge savings, but also I like to point out our faculty, all the advantages of WCC, like that's what you get when you're doing this. You're not just saving money, you have the Entrepreneur Center, you have the faculty that know you by name, the small class sizes, the convenient location, the online classes, you get it. I'm pretty passionate about Washtenaw. I'd like to say it's not just about, the cost, but it's the resources that we have. Okay, next slide. Okay. And so I think I covered this pretty much, the on-demand, so the online versus the virtual. When I gave the example of my kids, like the virtual is a very nice, scheduled set times, just in-person courses. So it's really dependent on your learning style. If you need that structure, it's a great solution because a lot of people, truly know that they can't, go completely online. So keep this in mind. We have come up with resources to allow you, to still continue on and take steps forward toward your education. Next. Okay, the fun part. So if you are looking to apply, it's free. It takes approximately 15 minutes. We recently updated our application. So believe it or not, you could start the application and save it. The first step is you're setting up an account with us. And then once the account is set up, that takes about 5 minutes. And then once the account's set up, you have access to the application. So depending on how quickly you move and completely fill it out, it could be 15 minutes to do that application, or now you can take a break. You can start and come back. So it's really nice that your application is in there. Once you are finished applying, We have open admissions at Washtenaw. It is one of my top 3 favorite things about WCC. We do not deny you, we accept you. So we are your local institution. And so our application, our admission process, we're not going to say you can't come, you are accepted, you can come. You still have a couple things to do on an admission checklist. Starting with, we want everyone to go through an online orientation. We're looking at academic levels, like where you're coming into the college for placement purposes. And so then typically, you know, some folks, especially if it's first time in college, we have you meet with an advisor, but it's always nice to meet with an advisor along the way each semester to make sure you're reaching that end goal. So all the resources are here. Student Services is doing a phenomenal job remotely available to you. Anything that you need, speaking with an advisor, although you can't step foot on campus now, we are still here. And yeah, it's just a very nice, quick admission process with people available to help. Okay, and then of course, if you want to jot this down, save this, I know it's recorded, I'm always here to help guide you, guiding you to faculty members, guiding you over to advising, anything you need, know, like I'm here in my home, ready to guide you, and I just love to help people out. That's my personality, and I love to share Washtenaw. So pass it on to friends, you know, tell them about the webinars that we're doing, the series, and come back if you like it. We're going to be running a few of these throughout, you know, the next month or more. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kim. So that is kind of our wrap up for this webinar. If you are part of Anthony Terry's class, can you just in the chat put what class you're a part of? So I'll record that just to make sure that Mr. Terry knows you were on this call. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I am going to be sending that survey here shortly, so you will receive that. We appreciate so much for your time and taking that out today to come and talk with us. And we do hope to see you here next week, where we'll be talking about retail careers. So, yes.
I want to say something. Cheryl sent me a note about, I think it's an important topic. When you are changing careers, sometimes debt can be a real killer. It does cost money to take classes. Fortunately, WCC is the most affordable option in the world. But Cheryl, is she still on? Maybe she could speak to this. But yeah, I would say community college is the place to make mistakes and to take extra classes. So that's my final plug here.
Yeah. Doug,
adding into that too, reach out to me on, we have scholarships, we have assistance. So even, you know, if $95 a credit hour is too much, like, do not let that be an obstacle to take classes. We have resources to help you out.
Doug, the point was that in reality, if you do plan on switching careers, sometimes it means that it may be a lateral move, or else you may have to make a little slight adjustment, and your income may go down a little bit because you'll be moving into an area where you may not have the experience where you do now. So your income may drop. So just, it may or may not, it may. So just be prepared for that possibility and make sure that you have your budget in line so that you can afford to make this career transition.
That's a great point. Actually, my income from being a journalist to a lawyer was about the same because I had law school debt to pay off. So my income went to paying off my law school debt. So it's not always a smooth transition, but you want to go where pick something you're passionate about so it doesn't seem like work.
All right. Any more questions or anything else that we can help you with today? All right. Thank you all so much. Zach, I will make sure I'll let Kalina know that you are on this call. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.